Wait, are we talking? Is this
We're talking, yes.
successful talking?
This is successful talking. Darryl, if you could talk.
I mean, this is my standard.
Successfully.
They're the cream in your coffee, the double 6 to your snake eyes, the 22 to your 21, the Peter O'Hanrahan of board game, the Titans of the tabletop. They're really good at Snap. They've settled Catan, the Sultans of Snakes and Ladders, the Ayatollahs of Agricola, the Betrayers at House on the Hill, the Kings of Tokyo, the Lords of Waterdeep. They are men at work. They put the bang in bang, the champions of the wild, the employers of fun. They always have a ticket to ride. Your favourite podcast. It's the Everybody Dies podcast.
I am the Lord of Waterdeep.
The Lord of Waterdeep. Yeah, I did stumble a bit there. We are keeping that in. We're the Lords of Waterdeep. In fact, should we just change that forever now?
Yeah, Waterdeep works better.
Okay, Waterdeep works better.
Peter O'Hanrahan.
It's a cobweb.
It's a cobweb.
I feel like all we should have... Do you know what? An editing task me. We'll just put a little cobweb up in the top left-hand corner.
Nice.
For the rest of the video.
I don't think
I don't like it, but I'll have to go along with it.
It's Nickton Lickton.
Okay. How many of these references are going to land?
I don't know.
So
I really don't know.
Really.
These days, it's quite niche.
Yeah.
I think it's totally not topical in the slightest anymore. But hey, yeah, it's scary, spooky month.
Ooh.
So today we're going to be talking about what games would we recommend for Halloween. On top of that, we're also going to be talking about a couple of Kickstarters that are currently running. We've got another news story that I'm going to neglect to talk about. And we have a new section. We're going to do a new segment on this podcast. It's going to be rather fun.
I've forgotten what this is.
You'll find out.
You will find out. We want this to be spontaneous, so that is perfect. Okay, so first of all, what have we been playing?
We played Terra Below again.
We did play Terra Below once more.
That was good. We played it properly with the correct rules this time.
We did, yeah. So we were kind of like picking up eggs just here, there, and everywhere. You're not meant to. As soon as you pick up an egg in the game, you're meant to stop. So as such, we were playing it by the proper rules this time.
Still fun. Still good.
Still really good. I still think no one's ever hit someone with the orbital satellite still.
No, I tried my best. No one died from the orbital satellite.
It was close though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I almost hit Ray.
Super close, yeah.
So the idea in the game is you're on a grid. We've explained how the game plays on the last podcast, but just in case you haven't listened to that one, and shame on you, you basically have a grid, a 6x6 grid, and you're moving pieces across a board trying to collect eggs in order to score points and deliver them to certain locations on the board. But you have these tremors-like worms that are trying to attack you. And this particular orbital satellite is at the beginning of someone's turn, they roll 2d6 dice, and whatever coordinates it lands on, everything just gets obliterated on that space. It means you could potentially blow yourself up. And in 2 games, we haven't hit a single thing, despite having this orbital satellite for the majority of both games we've played.
Yeah,
we've
had 3 of them in play. So in the game we played first, we had 2 at the same time.
Yes,
we
did.
Didn't hit anyone.
Yeah, so...
we also played Mega City Oceania roughly 15 minutes ago.
Yes, we did. And this is the one game from Eurogame Expo 2019 that I was gutted that we missed. We didn't get a chance to sit down at the table and play that. So what you're doing is you're constructing buildings in your own little space. You're kind of like diving into a bag and pulling out pieces and then building a little tower. Then you have to move them on the table, on the tile that you've built them on, into a space next to everything else in the city. It's really interesting.
It's fun.
I love it. I think it's a fantastic game.
Steve broke health and safety regs left, right and centre.
I don't know whether I broke health and safety regulations. I think I made the ugliest buildings, whereas Ian was making very nice... Although they resembled buildings, whereas I was just throwing pieces onto a tile.
Yours looked like a 5-year-old had picked up the pieces and just put them down in one section and walked away.
Yes, more or less. I don't know. We could probably give a name to that. I'm not bright or quick enough to be able to come up with a name for it.
No, nor am I.
Okay, that settles that then.
I've got nothing.
No. But yeah, I went into the Eurogame Expo already knowing about this game, and it was one of the ones which I kind of like said, I really want to play this if we see it there. It was full.
I think it only had the one
the entire
table,
day.
didn't it? Like
It
the
only had one table.
It's quite sort of closed off as well. It was in sort of the middle as you were sort of coming up, and it was always packed.
Yeah, I think there's something very pleasing about the game where you spend your turn. So in other words, between your turns, you kind of like you take out contracts. So you have to build buildings in a certain way, whether it's a certain height, whether there have to be archways in your building, things like that. And it always gives you a minimum height that the building has to be.
Right.
Once you've fulfilled those, during your turn, you can say, right, I want to deliver this, at which point you're pushing your tile with your building on into the centre. If it falls down, you sacrifice your turn.
Wow.
But
You can't
just
do
like
anything.
real buildings, really.
Yeah, exactly.
You build them
They
somewhere
just
far
float
away,
them
and
in.
then you push them into the city you need them in.
Okay, so
Every now and then they just
I
do
can
that ball.
actually lend a little bit of context to this now. So the idea behind Megacity Oceania is that with rising tides and things like that, we're having to build on the ocean now.
Okay.
So the idea is you start off with a central park that's just on its own in the middle of an ocean,
floating park.
and then you're pushing buildings to attach to the central park and turn it into a city, basically. You end up with something quite visually impressive by the end, or not, in my case.
Ours
So-
looked alright.
Yours looked
As a
alright.
city, it looked good.
Yeah, but as individual buildings, mine looked like it had been made by a crazy man who's been locked up for 20 years and been let out to design a city for some reason.
I'm just
That
putting-
is your life.
It pretty much
Yeah,
is.
that is
yeah.
exactly the lead up to you doing this. Is you've been locked inside for 20 years,
Yes.
and then
yeah.
we went, "Do you want to play Mega City 1? Mega City Oceania, Mega City
Mega
1.
City 1, Judge
Oh, that would
Dredd.
just be
I want to play the Judge Dredd equivalent.
Oh my god.
where one person controls the gangs,
Yes.
just trashing the city while someone else is just desperately trying to build it. Oh man, this probably will lead in well to our new segment later, but
Yes.
we're going to keep that a secret for the time
That's a
being.
secret.
Still lost.
Still lost on it. There's still loads that we've played recently. Me and a friend went back to Mansions of Madness recently. We played a really cool level on there, which was basically built into two parts. So if you've never played Mansions of Madness before, it's an app-driven game where the app is basically telling you a narrative. It also handles a lot of the rules within the game as well. So you're exploring a mansion and opening up new areas of the mansion, moving into it. The app guides you through absolutely everything. It keeps track of what items you've collected during the game as well. So sometimes you'll pick up a journal, and then you can read pages from the journal by interacting with the app, which will give you clues as to what you're doing.
Right,
It's
okay.
really, really cool. Really, really good game. In this one that we played, we were exploring the mansion as you normally do at the beginning of the game, and we had no monsters turning up whatsoever. None. Just, we pretty much filled the building out. We'd been discovering things, and creepy stuff had been happening, so things had been affecting our sanity, because like any game built in the Arkham Files universe, you have a sanity meter that's dropping over the course of the game. And it got to a point where we found a mirror, and then the house turns itself inside out.
Okay.
And then you kind of like, you almost enter the mirror, and you've got the exact reflection of the building
That's quite cool.
the other way around, except you remove all the pieces off the board that you've built in this mansion and then start building it up again. And we essentially were looking for a missing person,
Wow, okay.
and it was really cool, like the way that you really felt like this person had disappeared, and you were searching this house, there was no sign of them anywhere, and then all of a sudden everything gets turned on its head. All of a sudden you've got monsters popping out, or it was cultists mostly. Really cool concept. We ended up successfully finding the person who was trapped in this mirror world and pulling them out of there. It was close,
Right.
simply not in terms of us being hit hard, but there's this person we found you then have to protect, and she moves around the house like an idiot. Basically, she'll start in one room, end up in the complete opposite side of the house, and she's constantly got these cultists following her around there. So you're trying to protect her, but you're trying to keep up with her at the same time, so she's taking damage. It's
So
really good.
I'm a big advocate for natural selection in that scenario, where if she's not intelligent enough to survive, does she deserve to?
So here's the thing: is they kind of cover it in as much as You find loads of mirrors around this house in the course of this mission, and they've all been covered over with sheets and things like that. And as you're removing sheets around the house, you're seeing visions of the other side. Turns out that all of these mirrors act as portals, so you've got cultists coming through all the mirrors. So in order to truly shut it down, this person that you're trying to save knows how to enchant the mirrors, but she needs time to do it and hasn't been able to do it while she's by herself. So you're kind of trying to protect her while she fixes these, or does something to these mirrors. So
Right, okay.
almost lifts a curse on them in order for you to be able to then smash them and stop people from coming through them again. So you have to shut down each individual mirror before going through the last mirror to be able to get back to your own world, if that makes sense. It meant that she was popping over to the location of a different mirror in the house, which could be anywhere over the course of the entire game.
So she teleports?
She teleports basically, so it's not easy to be able to track it because it seems like it's random. She doesn't move around. So again, this comes back to your whole thing of natural selection of why not tell us the plan? I'm going to that mirror next, or something like that, instead of just going to a mirror on the opposite side of the house that we've barely got any chance to get to before she's got cultists on top of her stabbing her with knives. So, but it was nice to visit that game again. It's been quite a long time since I've played it. I think it ranked quite highly on our list of board games, our top.
I don't remember where it
50
was,
board
but it's
games.
definitely a more popular one.
It was in the top 10. I'm pretty sure I can remember that much.
I haven't played it.
You've never played it?
Never played it.
We may have to remedy that sometime.
I'd like to play Mountains of Madness.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one again. I think
So-
I about I want to play.
I've played that with a couple of people before, and the idea that you're drawing madness cards and then you're having to act out that madness physically, that's
That's
really
quite
neat
cool.
kind of concept of the game. We played Unmatched.
We did play Unmatched, yes. Unmatched Battle of Legends. I really liked it.
It was good.
Yeah, it's very. It's a simple game. Like we were worried about, I think when we first were speaking about it in quite a few podcasts ago, because it's Restoration Games. We weren't sure how them making a brand new game would work. I really love the art style. It's simple to play. There's about 4 pages of rules. We did need to go back a couple of times to clarify stuff, but mostly it's there. It's just kind of hidden. I genuinely love it. The miniature's really cool. You've got these little followers, like familiars with them. 2-sided map, board, everything kind of fits in the box. Not groundbreaking, but definitely fun.
I think definitely the biggest draw in the game is the artwork
Yes.
to it. It was made by a famous artist that drew movie posters, I believe.
Yeah, that was because it was all different like artwork from the different films, wasn't it?
I can't remember the name off the top of my
we
head.
did it back in a couple of
Yeah, I will say the game is quite basic. Whether that's a good thing or not really depends on how you like your board games. It functioned perfectly fine. We had a good time playing it.
Yeah, I would say I kept sort of referencing it to kind of dice thrown a little bit, but without the dice.
It sounds like it's got that kind of
Yeah,
vibe to
it's
it.
the same sort of thing. Everyone's got a set deck of abilities. You can't mix and match. Each has their strengths, each has their weaknesses. Like you played Sinbad, wasn't it?
I was Sinbad, yes.
Yeah, and I played Alice. And Alice's sort of gimmick is she can get bigger and attack more, or she can get smaller and have more defense. And yours was was weird but cool.
Sinbad kind of starts off weak, so in other words, you're trying to limit the amount of damage that's being done to you, but he gets stronger and stronger and stronger as the game goes on. So by the time you hit late game, he's just absolutely smashing people.
That was it, because it was the more voyages he went on, wasn't it? Basically,
It was, yes.
The better he got, which
So,
is really cool.
In terms of the game, the way it kind of like played out was I was behind,
Yeah.
and then the late game kicked in, and it only took about 3 rounds, I think, and Alice was pretty much taken out.
Yeah,
in 3
so
rounds.
it would have been sooner, but I managed to draw a lucky card where I died, but then I got to heal myself, so I basically gained back 4 health points, and it was so tight at that point.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird mechanic which there's no... Once your deck's been milled through, there's no way of bringing them back in.
Yeah.
Once you start having to do movements, you have to lose 2 health each time. So it really gets that kind of sudden death moment, which I kind of liked, but we both kind of got to that situation where it was whatever we had left in our hands was it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun.
It's funny because for the longest time during that game when I was playing a Sinbad, I thought, this is super unbalanced.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't quite realise just how many of those Voyage cards were in my deck, and the more that are getting played,
Oh yeah.
the stronger he's getting.
Because you
over
could
and over and over.
every
so-
card you use, it gave you a buff, and then you could move more.
Yes.
So you were moving you were just constantly catching up to me, no matter how far I tried teleporting or run away to.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was a choice of certain cards make me smaller or bigger. It was like, well, do I just go for the extra defense and try and draw a nice card? And I look at my deck, I've got 3 cards left. I'm like, oh god, no.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna try and play it again with the other characters, probably. I reckon.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also had more games of Teotihuacan
We did.
recently. That was a lot of fun to go back to.
Mm.
I still think it's not quite as good as Gugong, but I think
I prefer it weirdly. I don't know
you
why.
prefer it to Gugong.
Yeah, I think it's the theme more than anything else for me.
And I can see as well, like visually, it's
Yes.
stunning.
Mm.
The way you're building the pyramid in the centre. Played very differently this time. Whereas a lot of the focus was on building the pyramid the first time we played the
I
game.
didn't really bother, really.
We didn't do it too much in our second game, and it was the Avenue of the Dead that kind of won out on that one.
Once
So-
you realised you were getting extra points for that, it was so much better.
So in other words, there's this thing called the Avenue of the Dead in Teotihuacan. Again, if you've never played it before, it's a game kind of like based around Aztec folklore and things like that, and you're building a pyramid in the centre of the board. You've physically got tiles which are not dissimilar to Mahjong tiles.
Yeah.
And you're just building this big structure in the middle of the board, and you go through 3 eclipses, or you go up until the pyramid is fully built. Like I said, first time we played, naturally everyone gets very focused on that pyramid being built in the centre of the board. Did you play it the first time round that we played it?
Never played
You've
it.
Not
no.
played
You
it.
played Gugong, didn't you?
Okay.
Yeah, I played Gugong.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this one, the Avenue of the Dead is something where you're kind of like building houses, but also as your character ascends, your movement up the track of the Avenue of the Dead increases as well. But it scores huge points at the beginning of the game and then trails off towards the end. So in other words, if someone can capitalise on the Avenue of the Dead very, very quickly at the beginning of the game, you can have such a big lead that by the end of the game, people just
sort of
can't catch you. And that's kind of what happened with our second game. Again, really enjoyed it second time round. Like I said, I still think I prefer Gugong just that little bit more. So, anything else we've played? We've had more games of Crocodile.
Dead Man's Cabal.
Did we
Yes.
Did we talk about that last time?
We did talk about
But
Dead
then
Man's
we played
Cabal
it again.
last time,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
been played again since.
I got a chance.
I've not been playing any games because I've been working 6-day-a-week, 12-hour shifts. So I'm going to be remarkably quiet.
Not even love games.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
Okay.
We keep our podcast life and our horrendous, messy sex life separate.
One day they'll merge.
What? You're suggesting pornography at this point?
No.
Yeah,
God, no.
one day,
God, no.
our recording life and our sex life will merge. That's pornography.
Yeah, alright, okay, yeah, I condone it.
Can we, like, role play as stepbrothers? That's it. That's all the
It's,
rage.
it's in right now.
It's all the rage.
Incest is so hot right now.
We'll get like one of those alien egg things.
Oh no!
Oh,
I draw the
God.
line there.
Google
We went to Entoyment.
Yes.
To play the new game from Warlord Games called,
Black Seas.
because I keep getting it confused with every other boat game out there.
Cruel Seas and
Cruel
Blood and
Seas is World
Plunder,
War II, isn't it?
Yeah.
Black Sails, Black Flag, any game with a thing in it.
Yeah. You and Andy played it, I observed.
Right.
They've already got a few opinions about the game.
Okay, base value, game is really, really cool. Essentially, it's like a really advanced X-Wing game, I guess you could say. So you each get your ships, depending on, again, the ships, frigates, brigs, various different ships like that. Gunboats. It's really, really cool. You have a wind gauge, so you can roll for wind at each turn, and depending on the way the wind's flowing, it changes the way you can move. So, for instance, in our game, Andy seemed to always be in front of the wind, and I always seemed to be against the wind. So whenever I kind of had to do stuff, I had to make skill checks. I kept getting damaged by it. At one point, I had to just turn and get like anchored, which was really, really cool.
That was, yeah.
Sort of to make the skill checks even more annoying, Andy did something where I lost crew. So I gained a token where it means I failed all skill checks. So for instance, I was basically just floating in the sea. It's cool. The only thing, again, I think you're probably going to touch on this a little bit, was the advanced parts of it, which was the majority of the game, was a little bit too much.
So I think
too much.
The thing I'm going to bring up here is the fact that the base game of it, with the simplified rules, is fantastic.
Really
it
good.
played really, really well. The neat little touches that we had in the game with the cotton wool,
And the flame,
the fire, and
was
stuff
so
like that
cool.
made it look really visually pleasing on the board. The problem was that we were being taught this game actually by someone from Warlord Games who made the game. They were going to the manual an awful lot for the advanced rules, and one of the things you always find on game nights is if something breaks the flow of a game more, it's someone having to go to the manual all the time, look up how a rule exactly works, because this goes quite in depth in terms of game mechanics
as well. Like you would have to, with attacks, it was dependent on. So you had various different cannons depending on the ship. So like the brig, I think, had the best.
Yeah.
So you had like one at the front, a couple at the sides, and then sort of one towards the back end. Depending on which one you chose, depending on which ammo you chose, and depending on which angle you were, depicted what dice you had. So at some points you were rolling 2 red dice, one was a blue dice, there was a black dice thrown in. So there was a lot of. Again, if he wasn't there to say how to do this, there's no way we would have figured that out.
No.
So that's the issue. It's kind of...
Is it one of those things, though, where it's a game where you've played it for the first time? Would it be something that'd be quite easy to pick up if you continue
I think
playing
it probably
a lot?
would be. I think eventually you would realise that it'd be... I guess essentially it's a lot like when you have a front firing arc on X-Wing.
Yeah.
So you know that you're always going to get extra dice, but there's not a difference in dice with that. So with this, it was different coloured dice did different things.
I kind of
So it was a
feel
bit-
like the base rules, it would still, if you didn't have someone who knew the game inside out, I still feel like it would have taken you a whole afternoon to really get to grips to understand it. That's the basic rules. The advanced rules, if one of the guys that's helped made it is going to the book every 5 minutes to
Is he
look
one
up
of the
stuff.
guys who made it?
I don't know if he's one of the guys that made it, but
works
he
for them,
definitely
he was
works
very,
for
very much.
Warlord Games, and he actually is going out and actually actively teaching the game.
Yeah.
I will say he did a fantastic job.
he was great.
He
He was a really nice guy as well.
really nice. Talked us through, talking us through the base stuff and things like that. He'd be telling us our options and stuff like
it was
that,
never so much like one-sided. It was always, well, this is what you could do,
Yeah.
and I would definitely recommend doing this kind of thing.
So this is not a criticism aimed at him. Definitely not.
It's
This
more
is
the structure.
this is more a criticism aimed at the fact that in a lot of games now, when you have complex rules where you have to do a lot of looking up and cross-referencing and stuff like that, they tend to print them on cards these days for each individual unit, and it was something that this game was lacking.
So you at any given time you could choose on your sails, which was interesting. So depending on how many, like what sails it was, full sails, battle sails, or no sails, you could go a certain amount of inches, which was fine. But then you had to factor in the wind. So if you're going against the wind, sometimes you travelled at 0 speed, which meant you could only move like a little bit. And then there was, if you ram each other, there was rules for that. If you kind of get too close to your own ships, there's rules for that. There was all these different mechanics that kind of added to the top of it, which kind of made it a little bit confusing. The one thing also that there was a couple of guys with us that I think had played was it Cruel Seas was the other one.
Yes, that's
They
the one with
played
the
Cruel
World War
Sea.
II.
So the thing that was kind of a bit was at the start you kind of got your faction, I guess you could say, and he chose it for us, which was easy enough. But depending on your faction, you got extra abilities, and that was the other thing. So like the French had certain things, the British had certain things, and they had different abilities depending on what nation you belonged to. And I think that would be another part that would take a while to learn, because as a base game, you'd probably only just pick a frigate and this and this. But then once you start throwing in, I don't know, like the Dutch or the French, and each one has a different ability. Like one of them had more chain shot, I think, or something like that. So I think
Is that the Dutch?
it could have been.
We know because we said we thought it would be the Dutch, and then it turned out not to be the Dutch.
I think we went to French then. It was one of the ones we played as, but he was saying, and then it gets a bit too.
Yeah, the 4 factions in it: the British, the French, the Spanish, and the Americans. There's no Dutch. Dutch would have made more sense than the Americans, I feel,
Yeah.
but I feel like the Americans get thrown in there
Because of America.
because, it creates a bit of a broader appeal, I feel.
Yeah, I was about to make a joke about Dutch colonial history, but I think it's a bit hypocritical coming from free British people.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm not going to.
Okay, that's fine.
Wait, can you draw any? You from another continent at any point?
No.
No, you. In your history?
Possibly, but
Yeah, we can't then.
I'm actually in the middle of getting a DNA test to find
Oh,
out.
wow.
So stay
But that's-
tuned for that.
Reveal live.
That's going back so far. I'm pretty sure, most of us are from all over the place
Oh,
if we
probably.
go back far enough
There's
for DNA testing.
smoke rumors, mirrors, and stuff about potential, but I'm not going to go into that until I know for sure. Especially as I'm getting it tested now. So
Isn't it they think that everyone in Western Europe
Charlemagne.
is related to Charlemagne? Yeah.
mathematically have to be
Yeah.
in some way. And then same with Asia, with
the Huns as well.
Genghis Khan, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we move on to some news?
Do you play anything else?
Let's move on to some news.
Let's do the news.
Let's do the news.
Let's do the news.
Okay, first of all, you will have seen a nice new intro, I imagine. You probably would have done from the last one as well. Sorry, I thought I just mentioned that.
That's us news.
Yep, that's us news.
Oh, should I do some mince pie?
You want to do a mince pie review?
Yeah, do a mince pie update.
Yeah, sure. You've started.
You started it last time.
Yeah, did I actually do it in the last podcast?
Yes, you did. You definitely mentioned that every year you said you've started.
Okay, mince pies I've had so far. Aldi. If you go to Aldi, they do a it's slow gin and almond mint tart.
There's two separate ones, which is
There's an
nice.
almond one, but grow up and get the one with gin in. That is my number one so far this year. It's nice. It's really good. Filling's nice. The crust is.
It's more like a tart, isn't
more-
it?
it
Yeah,
is a tart.
It isn't. It's advertised as a tart, isn't it?
Yeah.
A mince tart.
Mint tart.
The only thing I'll say about the almond one is it tastes like a Bakewell tart, which is not a bad thing. But a Bakewell
it's
mince
not
tart.
criticism. It's I don't know. It's a point to take note of if you don't like Bakewell tarts.
The thing is, can it truly be a mince pie though? This is the other thing.
It's a tart? Is it a pie? I would shoehorn it into the same category. Personally, I'm not going to be so picky as to have mince tarts, pies. I mean, what?
It's
next?
a new contender, I would say, because most of them are just mince pies or lattice mince pies.
It's my favourite mince pie of the year so far. I do have last year's champion in front of me, and I ate some with Steve this morning and found myself criticising it.
Oh,
Yeah, well, it's a bakery short crust mince pie from Co-op. I feel like the particular batch I had was slightly underbaked. It's a little bit too. It's not as crusty as the short crust I like, and the mince actually tasted a bit. What's the word I
You said
used?
artificially sweet.
Artificially sweet. I think last year's mince. Maybe there's an alteration. It's possible it's the same, and it's just where it's a bit underbaked. But yeah, it wasn't as nice as last year.
Okay.
it's kind of like our own resident Paul Hollywood here.
Yeah, I'm equally a sex idol for the elderly.
Just not a grey silver fox, more of a kind of like blonde dark kind of. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Before we get into the real news, first of all, I want to put out a congratulations to the guys at Dwarven Beer Fest for getting the Kickstarter fully funded. So did they hit a couple of stretch goals?
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah,
They
they
did,
did.
didn't they? Yeah.
I can't remember what exactly they were because I've got a really poor memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, I backed, so
Yeah. We
I've
want
got my
to
copy coming hopefully.
say congratulations to those guys. That's very well deserved. We love the game.
Quad thumbs.
Okay, let's make it 6.
Oh, yeah.
That'll do. Oh, there's the thumbnail for the front. We'll look like effing geeks. Just nerds.
I just reckon there's going to be a load of dead space on the SoundCloud version
Yeah.
of this because we just stood here doing nothing with our thumbs up.
We are mentioning weird comments, so it makes it even weirder because people go, "Oh, well, maybe I have to watch the YouTube one."
We should do something a little bit special for our YouTube viewers.
Private viewing.
Okay, let's get into some actual news. Right. Okay, first of all, a Scott Pilgrim Miniatures game is on the way. It's described as a miniatures game, not a board game, and it sounds as if what's happening is, if you're familiar with the film, it's Scott Pilgrim defeating each of his exes.
Oh, so it's going to be like the actual...
Intrigued, but not excited.
Are you not a fan of Scott Pilgrim?
It's not that I'm not a fan of Scott Pilgrim.
It's a cool film. Well, it's a cool comic.
I'm interested in the idea. I don't know if I'm buzzing for it, though.
I think it's quite neat to have a miniatures game that's not about war.
Yes,
for once.
I thought you were going to say it's quite niche, and I was going to agree with you.
It is quite niche, yes. But, you know, I actually really like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I really enjoyed the film. I thought the music in it was excellent. I thought Sex Bomb were great. I think the music... Was it written by Broken Social Scene? I can't remember. I can't remember which band actually wrote the music for it, but it's really good stuff. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the film. So this has kind of piqued my interest a bit.
Is it going on to Kickstarter, or is it?
It's going on to Kickstarter, yes.
Okay.
So it sounds like one person will play Scott Pilgrim and the other player will play each of the exes. So it sounds like it's going to be almost more of like an arena combat kind of thing, like or almost like a one-on-one kind of thing, I guess. So I'm interested to see where this goes, really. I'm not the biggest miniatures gamer out of us.
Again, I wonder if they're painted to be
I
weird.
like miniatures games. I think out of the three of us,
I am literally the biggest miniatures gamer in the room. In terms of volume.
Both stock and person.
In both height, weight, girth.
Every conceivable way.
and in amount of enjoyment on miniatures games.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking at this, but I don't know how much.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in the Black Seas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to look at that.
We might get the
starter set. Yeah, it's like £45 for the starter set, and you get enough to be able to field 2 fleets of ships.
We looked into it though. The oh my god, the actual sets themselves. You get so many ships.
Yeah.
It's fine with me. Like, so long as no one's going to make me play as an American. I'm grateful colonials.
You can choose who you want to be.
Yeah.
It's 2019.
Shame you can't be the German Navy.
Okay.
Wow.
Sorry.
I mean, it's a predictable comment.
It's pre-controversy.
Yeah, it is pre-controversy. But
It'd be Prussian Navy at that point, I'm sure.
Did you even have?
Okay.
No.
Or individual nations of the Holy Roman Empire.
do we have any more to add about the Scott Pilgrim miniatures game?
No.
I would like to see if it's painted or not painted.
They come pre-painted.
Okay, so that will be cool then.
I'm less interested.
No,
I think
because
the
there's
thing
a
is as
certain
well-
art style, isn't there? This is the
Yeah.
thing. You're not going to do that. You're going to go and like convert them because this is your jam. You're going
Yeah,
to
I
convert
know.
them. Scott's going to have like a freaking mech suit or something. With like, oh, he's got a bolter gun attached to his back and
Shave his head and green stuff on my hawk.
yeah, it's how he should be. Like, yeah,
But yeah, they're pre-painted miniatures. I think it looks kind of neat.
yeah. I'd like to see how it plays, but I'd probably have to go on it.
Yeah. Okay, next, I want to revisit the Game Board 1.
Ooh.
Which we talked about on a previous podcast.
Yes, we did.
So it's, for those of you who missed it, it's a tablet-like device.
It's like a tile.
Where you can connect up to 10 of these things together as well. And the idea is that there's going to be a streaming service where you can subscribe to get access to their complete game library. It also covers role-playing games, things of the sort. Or you can buy individual games just off there to keep
A la carte.
forever. A la carte is how they explain it.
Stadia keeps using
Now,
this.
When we talked about this last time, we said the success of this depends on the third-party developers that they will be getting in order
Yeah,
to
we were
develop
concerned
games
about it.
for this. That was the concern. The project is actually now live on Kickstarter, so
Last time I checked,
we will actually put a link to the Kickstarter in there
Yeah.
because this is still a really interesting idea, especially if you're an RPG gamer. I think more
If you're
so.
a DM, I think it's...
so
Yeah.
interestingly enough, they had some different pledge levels, and the initial early bird special had gone. So the early adopters had gone. So it's almost nearly made its quota on that, I think. The one I was curious about, it was one of the more expensive tiers, but it basically gave you the option to have the developer software.
Okay.
So essentially, you will be making your own stuff. So you can still use the normal standard stuff, but at the same time, if you wanted to, you can start making your own
this is where the game
apps and
sounds
stuff.
very, very interesting. Actually,
Yeah, because
there's going to be a lot of creative minds out there
That's
that
the
aren't
thing.
part of the industry that are going to be creating good things
This
for
is
it.
what I was thinking in terms of DMs that might want to make their own.
Especially if you're technically minded. It might even be really simple software, who knows, but it'd be really cool to be making live scrolling mapscapes and various different things.
Now, a lot of the reason why I wanted to bring this up again is because now with the Kickstarter live, we've got a few more details about it. There's a few things which I think are a bit controversial about this. The main one, first of all, that I want to talk about is the fact that there's no indication of how much the subscription service is going to be. And let's face it, this is going to be a luxury item. This isn't a necessity.
No.
So a lot of the people that are really going to be into this are probably going to be buying into the Kickstarter. Whether this makes it to retail and is a success at retail, because when you see these, I think one unit costs about £250.
The base unit starting off was $299.
Yeah, so that's still around.
But that's gone.
About £299 in today's
Yeah,
currency.
that's true, and will be £350 by the time the Kickstarter is successfully
Yeah,
made
so
its way through.
the normal standard edition, if you were to buy it now, was about $350.
So
it was a very, very upper tier kind of.
So let me put this into perspective, Ben. If you've got the people that are very much behind this and buying it at Kickstarter level, when this goes to retail, I'm not sure it's going to sell so well.
No.
Because that is a lot of money to be paying for what is essentially a tablet that has a very specific design to it, which is a good thing. However, the amount that you have to pay for it is obviously excessive. And without proper support for it, without it making regular sales, I don't know how long an online subscription service could last.
Did we ever find out if it actually runs the stuff internally itself, or if it was just another screen based on your tablet?
Sorry?
Did we ever find out if it itself was the machine that can actually run the stuff, or the tablet was what you were projecting to the screen? Because if it is, then it is just a screen.
Or
did
no,
it actually have
it is contained actually within the...
Okay, so it has like
thing
it
itself.
does its own
so
stuff.
it has its own processing
All right,
unit
fair
in
enough.
it, and it does generate its own content
That's
as
fine.
such. Now, the problem is the games you can buy if you're part of the subscription service is only going to last as long as the subscription service is available. So all of a sudden, if something goes wrong, this is why this is a risk right now.
For a Kickstarter, this is a potential.
When
people
they
might
say-
have some problems here.
So you're always meant to list on Kickstarter what your risks and challenges are, and this is obviously a big one for them. It's actually keeping the project alive after the Kickstarter's already been and gone. Now, this means the subscription service is a very key part of this Kickstarter, and they've listed no information whatsoever as to how much this subscription service is actually going to be. You even go into the FAQ section of it, and there's no mention of it on there. I would imagine one of the first questions I would have for these guys is, how is your subscription service going to work? How much is it roughly going to be? You can't say how much is it going to be, because they haven't obviously worked out all the kinks with it yet. But they should be giving people a rough idea, because this is a big investment for people.
It's part of the commitment of getting the item is having that subscription service,
Yes.
in theory. So if people are going to commit to getting, say 300 quid's worth of hardware, they're also committing to that subscription. If I were committing to that 300 quid, I'd want to know more.
Exactly. That's exactly why I would have concerns about this project. I think the other thing is as well, is they have a list of the third parties that are behind this. And when we first looked at this news story a few weeks ago, they had listed Dungeons and Dragons, they had listed Pathfinder. Those companies have since disappeared.
So that is a
Right,
huge
okay.
concern that companies that large were initially on that list and are now not.
Yes. So D20 are still listed as third-party support for this, as are Cryptozoic for the board game side of things. Having that official backing from Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder, I initially, when I looked at that, I thought, this is huge. This is something that RPG gamers are probably going to want to consider, because that's really strong
it adds
support.
so much weight to your concept if you've got people with that much experience in the industry backing you. But how much weight does it take away when they move off the project?
Yes, I don't know whether this is a case of, because D20, I think, provide content for people that want to run games like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder on it.
Yeah.
But it becomes so much more appealing when the actual company that are making these games are actually behind it, and that's what's disappeared from there. That's what's a little bit concerning. I don't know whether it was an honest mistake, as in they put that up there because they figured, right, because we've got D20 on board, we're going to have things that are going to be available to these people. But as soon as you put a corporate logo to your product, they're probably going to step in and say, hang on a second.
Yeah.
We haven't officially backed this thing. I don't know whether that is what's happened, but it's
Feels
a
like
little
it.
suspicious that these things are now gone from the Kickstarter page.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a perfectly innocent explanation
Oh,
for
of
it, but the
course.
fact there isn't an explanation for it, creates doubt.
Yeah, I still think when we were talking about this about a week ago between us, not on camera, it looked like it had a very strong lineup for RPG gamers, not such a strong lineup for board gamers.
No.
With only Cryptozoic on board as a recognisable name in board games. Cryptozoic don't necessarily make the best of games. They tend to make very license-driven games. So they made, for example, the DC deck building game. They actually made the Epic Spell Wars games as well.
Okay.
So not really your big strategy games or anything like that. I can't think of one off the top of my head that they've made in terms of like a grander scale board game or anything like that. So I would be a little concerned coming in as a board gamer as to what I'm going to get. They've got a lot of classic games on there, but this is where the online community, if it's good for it, the developers that get these development kits.
This is why I'm wondering whether those ones would be better off, because all right, let's just say even at a base level, all you did was recreate a board from any game in, like in a 2D format on the screen.
Yes.
It just opens it up a little bit better because you can just go, oh, cool, right. So say it's, I don't know, it looks like it's the size of a standard hob for some reason. Say you can scroll between it, that'd be perfect because you wouldn't be having to put down map tiles, anything like that. If you've got a huge map, you can just zoom in and zoom out. Okay, I want to use that bit and put your figures on it.
Yeah.
It'd be really, really cool. But I wonder if, because the price point on it is very expensive for the development kits, I wonder if eventually they'll release it, like the development software, further down the line just to sort of appease people, because a lot of companies seem to do that. They release development kits that you can do the software, and like I know like GoPro give an actual free one out quite easily for like editing software, and it's fairly substantial.
I think most of the attraction is in the dev kit.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So for me, it would make sense that they make that part of the product, but I guess that's their call.
Mm.
And I think this is it. I think, this, on a positive note, I think the lack of what looks like strong third-party support could well be saved by a good community built around it that are going to be building games for it. So there is still positives here. That this still has a chance to succeed even without that.
It still looks
support.
like something that's super exciting.
It does,
but
definitely.
There are just concerns here and there, but such is the way of Kickstarter.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think the next thing I want to talk about is possibly my favourite news story of the year.
Ooh.
This comes courtesy of Kotaku, and I'm going to read it here. Moron steals someone else's board game, tries to kickstart it. That is literally the title.
It starts with the word moron.
It starts with the word moron. And it reads like this. A company calling itself White Helm Games had, until today, been running a Kickstarter for a board game called Dungeon Horde. That Kickstarter has now been cancelled, though, because Dungeon Horde was someone else's game. Having raised $388 of its $5,500 goal, potential backers quickly noticed that Dungeon Horde already existed and had already been made by the actual company called White Helm Games, which most definitely wasn't the company running the Kickstarter. Instead, it was an imposter, stealing both the game and the company name, either someone for whom English is a second language or for whom it's their first and they're just not very good at it. After the scam had been noticed, complaints rolled into both Kickstarter and the creator, in air quotes, themselves, who didn't take kindly to their accusations.
Oh my god!
I'm going to
you've
say
got
this.
written...
Before the scam could be killed off by Kickstarter, the creator, once again in air quotes, did the job for them, saying, I cancelled this campaign because no one deserved, plus some of this kid who come and broke the project for these people who believed Ernest. Did you see his page verified? Blue badge because they lied to all of you. Pokey out tongue face.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Yes.
I need to reread that.
It's so bad.
Yes.
I cancelled. Is that spelt right?
Is that even an I, or is that... Oh, I thought it was
It's a lowercase I.
This campaign. Oh, no.
No, it is wrong.
Yeah.
It's spelled wrong.
That's very wrong. Because no one deserved, plus some kids who...
Some of this kids.
Some of this kids who come and broke the project.
Okay, so we've actually... We've actually got some...
Oh, shit.
some kind of...
That's not right either, is it?
No.
No, it's
no,
not.
It's not at all.
Honestly, you can't see the spelling mistakes in there, but it's horrendous. But we've had a bit of a Twitter war leading up to this cancellation as well. Okay, so
Jesus Christ.
this was actually posted by at Etin64. Said, today in Kickstarter Tabletop, someone is trying to run a campaign for someone else's game. We have Jason Glover, who was a super backer, say, do not back this game. This game is 100% completely stolen. The real designer, publisher, is currently selling this game on the Game Crafter. I am a curator at the Game Crafter, and I know 100% that this campaign is fraudulent. This fake creator copy pasted all images from the Game Crafter and is using them here. They also copied much of the rest of the Kickstarter page from other Kickstarter creators. Trust me here, I am a super backer and have run 12 successful Kickstarters myself. Check my bio. This guy is a flat-out crook. Beware! I hope Ernest, the rightful owner of this game, is pursuing matters with Kickstarter in regards to this blatant copyright infringement. To which it was replied, can you stop acting like a kid?
Can I read that?
It carries on. I will let you. Okay, so the creator of the game then chimed in with, it's very simple to recognise the fraud here. You just need to go to the Game Crafter and check out the images provided there. This fraudster copied all the images except for the tail booklet, which contains the rules. You'll see my name, Ernest Formosa, and my logo White Helm Games. So tell us, why didn't you copy that image too? Would you like to read his reply?
Man, are you sick or what? Who sends you on me, Hane?
Hein.
Hane?
Yeah.
Hein.
Go do what you want. You are someone jealous. That's all. Whatever you talk, you can change nothing because you're not the owner. Stop commenting for nothing.
Okay. Okay.
You Hane.
Is that...
Let's.
Not me. You Hane.
So let's
Hane.
let's break this down here. How has this guy basically is defending himself by saying the guy that's claiming this game already exists and links are provided.
He definitely says something else, but you've cut it off and I want to know more.
So, okay, let's have a look here. If we want to carry on the saga
Oh my god.
that is Dungeon Horde and its Twitter war. Okay, so give me a moment here if you would like to talk amongst yourselves.
I love that Kotaku's actual article says
moron.
that starts with the word moron.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, so
Oh wow.
so, okay,
I just read the bottom bit.
so I'll have to probably read this bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
So again, it just carried on. Again, Jason Glover is getting involved and just talking more about the rightful Kickstarter holder. And then Dungeon Horde's final response that we have here is, hey you mother effer, you're just a super dick. you know, spelled K-N-O-W, go play away and do something in your life. And who told you we're waiting to live from this campaign? It's nothing like you, you're just a real stupid. Oh.
You're just a real stupid.
You're just a real stupid.
Well, how's your spell?
You are.
Simpleton.
Yes, basically.
Moron.
My God.
Moron. Exactly what he said.
Where on earth do we start with this? Obviously, the guy...
I feel like they've dug their own grave. We don't need to dig too hard here.
The guy's run a Kickstarter campaign on the strength of his ability to copy and paste.
Badly.
So, It's kind of, as soon as someone challenges this, it just becomes evidently clear this guy is an absolute fraud. You don't even need to make a strong argument against this. It's just the way they are defending themselves, as was said by Kotaku.
He could have defended himself in a way that was intelligent and reasonable, and he might have gotten away with it.
I don't know. I think as soon
maybe
as...
not gotten away with it, but he definitely wouldn't have come off as a total jackass.
Yes. Yes. But, I mean...
He wouldn't have earned the name moron. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, dear. It's...
God, that's so bad.
Man, I've just loved the story. I couldn't find any way that I wasn't going to include it on this podcast. It kind of speaks for itself. I don't feel like we need to...
No, leave it.
add
Leave it. It's
anymore.
so good.
Just say, Kotaku, you have...
Nailed it.
That,
man. Absolutely
that
nailed
title is spot on. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
So one last
right.
bit of news I want to talk about is Sumo Gnomes has gone to Kickstarter. It's got about 2 weeks left on it. We weren't able to cover this straight away because of timing with the podcast, but we do want to talk about this. There's going to be links to the Kickstarter in the description below because we're big fans of Robbie Munn. We actually, well, Daryl and Ian got to play Sumo Gnomes at the UK Game Expo last year. I got to watch and it looked a blast.
Genuinely, it's one of those things where we were playing the demo copy, which is made of wood.
Yes.
And I remember saying at the time, if a wood version, because he's making smaller versions, like, so it was a big version made of wood we had at the expo.
The other ones
Yeah.
are beer mat size ones.
Yeah, so it's like a beer mat size thing that for like taking out and about. And I remember saying, "Oh, do you know what, if the big wood one was for sale, I will be getting it."
So weirdly, everyone said that to him on Twitter,
Yeah.
and he, sure enough, has made a big wooden one.
A limited supply, though. I believe
It's
they're
back.
all gone. They're back.
Right, it is back. So the initial batch has gone. The second batch is now here, but they're incredible, man. They come in a plywood case.
So nice.
It depending on size, it's going to be each one's going to be different because it's wooden. But the wooden tree trunk, it's all forestry certified, so it's all legit kind of thing. And then all the nice little dice, 2 different types of wood, so for like different colourings. Presentation box, beautiful, man. Absolutely
I believe
beautiful.
he's had a little bit of trouble with the resin miniatures, but is providing files.
Yeah, pretty fast.
I think he's... Is it every backer gets the...
Everyone bar the normal
files?
pledge, yeah, it's getting the 3D files. now.
Yeah, so in other words, you can actually print your own dwarves at home to be able to hold your dice, and they look
Gnomes.
wonderful. So cool. Huh?
Gnomes.
Gnomes.
You said dwarfs.
Gnomes.
It's racist.
I meant gnomes. Sorry. I
Not all
apologise.
short people look alike.
I apologise to all the dwarves out there or gnomes. I apologise to both. It's fine.
Or
That covers it. I think I'm
Done.
I think I'm in
It's
the
the end
clear.
of your career, mate.
Okay.
next week, 2 weeks time, it won't be Steve.
No.
It'll just be a man in a wood suit.
But yeah,
It'll be Stephen, but spelt differently. So we'll have a replacement. Or we'll shave.
Stefan.
We'll shave Steve.
I'll lose the beard.
Pretend he's someone else.
But yeah, I think finally, I just want to say again, congratulations to
Yeah,
Robbie Munn as
100%.
well, because 2 weeks left and you are already fully funded.
I think it's 115% now.
115%.
Yeah, 150%. And I mean, within 2 days that we backed it, it was like 78%.
It
It was incredible, man.
It was definitely one of those games we played at the expo that we all went, "This is just fun."
Yeah.
That for me is that and Dwarven Beer Fest were the ones that just fun.
Also, one thing at a base level, £11 for a game is incredible.
Yes.
For
very
something that
much
you can.
so.
So it's gonna
The
be,
amount of joy you get out of
Yeah.
it for 11 quid is it's an absolute steal.
Yeah.
It's another pub game as well, isn't it? Take down the
100%.
Yeah.
pub, easy, just play it when you're out and about.
I think he described
Perfect.
it as being able to be put in your back pocket, which is that's amazing. This
It
goes
pretty
back to our
much
travel
can.
games.
Yeah.
It's got a little draw bag, I think, with the dice.
Yeah.
And
To answer the question from the person who asked us a question, like maybe
second, third pod in.
lots of podcasts ago, this is the game we'd take on holiday.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like a brand new section of the podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not comfortable with change.
Change is
Well, we're doing it anyway.
Okay.
Okay. We make a game. Where-
Yes.
Okay, so every week we are going to get our Patreon people to give us a subject.
Where was it? Our Patreon subscriber.
We
No, we
we
did
have
too.
it's more now.
I'm not going to name and shame.
No,
No.
but it has doubled.
We'll make them arm wrestle for who gets to choose.
Either way, we're going to be asking for a subject, and then on the podcast we attempt to make a game out of it. So this week's subject is cats versus cucumbers. Okay, so we've actually cheated a little this week.
Yeah.
We've already come up with a few ideas for this ourselves. We wanted this to be spontaneous, so on the spot we're making up. So here's how far we got. We first of all decided it was going to be a card drafting game.
Yep.
Changed our mind. It's now a hidden movement game. So if you've played anything like Last Friday or
Scotland
Spectre
Yard.
Ops, Scotland Yard, Letters from Whitechapel,
Last Friday?
I think I
You
mentioned
said
Last
that,
Friday.
No, you did.
Um,
I'm just thinking about Last Friday.
essentially, one player plays as a hidden component on a board, and they're writing down and saying where they're moving on a board. And the other players usually either have to stay away from them or try to catch them. In this case, the cats are trying to stay away from the cucumber.
So if anyone's ever seen one of those popular videos on YouTube where someone throws a cucumber at a cat and the cat freaks out, this is kind of where the base of the game kind of got the idea from.
It more or less is.
Yeah.
So that's as far as we've really got. And I think we talked about something like cats could equip costumes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we decided that if you could dress your cat in various different charms,
You could get abilities.
Yeah, there was a thing going around one point, I don't know why, but you could put like charms on their tail to cover their butts.
Okay.
I like the idea the game ends when you draw the snake.
Ooh.
When the cats actually have something to be afraid of.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that would work in a hidden movement game.
We don't have the drafting anymore, unless there's a special deck.
You see,
Well, the game changes when you draw a snake.
the way I was thinking, so first of all, the big spanner in the works I'm going to throw here is the cucumber has a goal. What is the cat's goal?
To escape the cucumber.
We need more
To
of...
cover its weird little sausage roll-esque bum with a little jewel.
To have the most expensive butt
So-
jewel.
Are we going to say that in this game the cats are searching for something? So in
Yes.
other words, there's going to be locations on the
Catnip.
map where they can actually
Catnip.
look.
They're searching for
stuff.
catnip.
They're searching for catnip, all the while a cucumber. So, okay, I had a thought that what we could do is we'd already talked about we wanted the map to be smaller scale than a standard
Yeah, so-
hidden movement game. So in other words, it would be like the size of an apartment almost, or maybe a house, and we might have 2 layers to it or
Yeah, like a
something
top
like
floor,
that.
bottom floor kind of thing.
And obviously you move across the space with it. I was going to say if it's a smaller board, most hidden movement games tend to be long. What if you made one that was meant to be short and played quickly? Because there's not many of those out there. So in other words, first of all, for component's sake, if you were to do that, I think it would make far more sense to have kind of dry whiteboard for each player.
Yeah.
So they could write down rather than having to have a piece of paper and stuff like that. So you could quickly wipe it, play another game, not needing to find loads and loads of paper.
Or one of those
anything
little
like that.
cardboard boards with the wipey pens like we were using for
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island, because that works really well.
A dry whiteboard.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Oh,
so I was thinking, in that case, what if you did have player elimination? What
Yeah.
if you start getting clues as to where the cucumber was, but if you get scared by the cucumber, your cat is out. So
Yeah,
like,
last
you've
few
scared
lines
it,
standing.
or if the cucumber scares, let's say you've got obstacles on the map, and the cucumber, it was possible for them to scare the cat into that square, and if they do that, that cat is eliminated. Like, for
Technically-
example, out a window.
I imagine
Or if we want to get really morbid, into a paper shredder.
The washing
I-
machine.
washing machine would probably be cute, yeah. That
I'm,
would probably work better than
Oven.
a paper shredder.
Okay, let's suggest.
Oven.
Whoa,
That's
whoa,
what
whoa,
I
whoa.
want,
okay.
oven.
Hey,
Yeah.
this is meant to be a kind of cutesy game.
It
Imagine that the
Boiler.
concept is each cat has 9 lives. Okay, so 9
Oh,
lives.
I like that.
Okay.
Right. For each, so the way you would score would be catnip.
Okay.
So the amount of catnip and mouse toys collected by the end. So you could limit it to the time limit of when the owner comes home.
Tell you what, you
Okay.
could have separate things. So you could have catnip, mouse toys,
Little dead birds.
little dead birds, and they all score different amount of points. So catnip's like 2 points, something like that, and you get like a bonus if you have the most of any given collectible item.
Essentially, what you're saying is the cucumber can't win. in
No,
that
no.
case,
The
but
cucumber.
it's more the cucumber limits the
Oh,
scores.
I had it in my mind that each other opponent cat's owner laid the cucumbers.
So the idea was one
You
person
all
is actually
players-
playing as a cucumber. Yes.
Oh.
So in a way, one person
is a cucumber. So in other words, you're a cucumber moving around the board, and you're trying to sneak up behind cats in order to scare them. So
I had it in my head like you played as the owners, and you want your cats to find the items, and you each take turns to place the cucumber.
To be honest, I just
Or
wanted
move
to
the
freak out
cucumber.
cats, basically.
Yeah.
Oh right, so you're.
But then it's not as good as a hidden.
In that case, it wouldn't be like a hidden movement
because
game.
by
Really.
the time it gets to,
I think I just like the idea that you could play a cucumber in a board game.
Okay,
Yeah.
keep it
I
as,
kind of like that.
Yeah.
So.
keep it as a hidden movement game, but for every scare, depending on the object you use or whatever the thing is, it depends on how many points they lose.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then they obviously lose. They not only lose a life, but they also lose points. So by the end of it, the idea is realistically, by the time, let's say a 30-minute timer, by the time they've actually got to the front door to meet their owner, they might have 1 life left and 2 pots of
Can I
catnip.
just take the one opportunity that I think I'll ever get to say this? Are we saying that one person gets to play a cucumber that's also a kingmaker?
yes.
Perfect. I love it.
So I like the idea that cucumber gets different amounts of points for scaring the cat into different scenarios.
Yeah.
So
You scare
essentially,
the cat into the washing bin, 1 point. Scare the cat into the oven, 5 points.
so we.
Blender, 9 points.
Also, in other words, yeah, I suppose that could happen then. So the cucumber can win as well. So in other words, if the cucumber score beats any of the cat scores, then
Cucumber's one.
cucumber wins.
Now, I like the idea of using dice.
I don't
Somewhere
think
in
they'll
that.
work. I don't think it'll work anywhere. I think
Where would you use
random
the dice?
chance in it because
The scare rolls. You could do a
what
scare roll.
direction
Yeah.
the cat
It'd
moves.
be,
So-
it'd be like an old Warhammer scatter dice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
depending on what arrow it's pointing to would be where the cucumber would point.
Do it on like six like hexes, and you roll a dice in whichever direction it.
scares
I think-
the cat into.
Yeah.
I think
depending
my,
on the object.
my only reservation with that is I feel like part of the skill in playing as the cucumber would be positioning yourself in order
okay.
to scare the cat into things.
Well, maybe have it in a way that if you are in one direction to the cat, so the cucumber is next to the cat, you can turn the scare dice one hex in the direction of the cat away
Yeah.
from you.
Or
But when you watch cats get scared of cucumbers, they like leap
Jump
over the
up, don't they?
cucumber. They don't necessarily just bolt away. They like flip around the room and go in any direction.
Yeah.
It's a mystery where the cats will end up.
Okay.
So then scatter dice for the cat.
Yeah.
I would argue then that you have to find a way that the cucumber has quite a lot of freedom of movement. I love this whole idea. I
Okay,
love
okay.
it.
How about
Can
right?
roll wherever it wants.
Yes.
How about the cucumber can move wherever it wants, but depending on where the cats are trying to go. So if you do have the scatter dice, it scatters a bit like in Blood Bowl. It scatters the cat to a certain section, so it might scatter the cat away from where it's trying to get to.
So in other words, you kind of all your object is the cucumber. It's not so much trying to guide a cat into something. It's more when you scare it, there's always a good chance it's going to land in something.
No. You still do the object of scaring it, but
Yeah.
once you've scared it, because they jump, you then roll your scatter dice to find out where your
so
cat's
you,
going.
you roll like a
Okay.
D3 or something to see how far the cat goes, and then your scatter dice to know what direction the cat goes.
Okay.
And
Because then that
I think in that case, I think player elimination would be better.
yeah,
I think
okay.
it would be the sheer randomness.
I
I mean,
was like, yeah, let's do that. Like,
I feel like this game is not exactly a masterpiece of working this game. This feels like a game for trolling people,
yeah.
Which would be
which I'm
fun.
fine with. I'm absolutely fine with. I think there's a place
I'm
for
thinking.
it.
I'm picturing like a map of a house, and in the house you've got like out the front you've got like the milk bottle stacked up, and you can knock the cat into that and spill the milk everywhere.
Yeah.
You've got the oven, obviously pretty morbid, but
Oh, cook a cat.
yeah. You got the blender, the washing machine, the dryer, the washing bin, the recycling bin, the standard bin, toilet, bath. Or they hate going in the bath, don't they?
Oh, they do, yeah.
They hate
Anything
it.
water-based is just
sinks.
just straight out the window.
But like in like every room has to have like just cat hazards.
Yeah.
Some badly plugged in extension cords in the
Oh my
corner of
God.
the TV room.
I like the idea the person that owns these cats has no care for animal welfare whatsoever.
Every
So-
room has windows which
Which are completely open at
Yeah.
all times.
Okay, so I think we've got the mechanics down. What is the game end? is it going to be on a timer? Are the owners coming home?
Last cat standing.
Last cat standing?
Last cat standing. Okay, last cat standing, but then the bonus for the points, I guess, would be when the owner comes home.
Yeah, okay.
So the owner is when you do the owner phase is when you tot up all the sport. Like, come on. That points.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I think we have a game.
So, is the plan
I wanna
that
play
we
it
now build this game?
We need to build it.
And then we're going to do a video review of the game.
Yes.
So,
mind you can't review something that you've made.
No, but we do a
This game is great.
The component quality is amazing.
This is a real cucumber.
Alright, how about this then? Okay, so we get down the ideas now, yeah?
Okay.
And then we film us playing or trying to play the game with either ourselves or other people trying to teach them.
Okay. What do you guys think? Do we make this game and play it? Make a video on it, maybe? How would you guys improve it? Let us know in the comments below.
Ooh.
Tell me what you would put a cat in to kill it.
Yes.
Also, would you choose a half cucumber or a full cucumber? Does it depend on the power?
Full cucumber.
Full cucumber.
What if the half cucumber's more sneaky?
What if the cucumber can get items to split itself in two and chase multiple cats?
Oh my god, it can replicate. It self-replicates.
What if the cats could also cut the cucumber
To stop it.
if it goes near certain items, and you could cut it into such small pieces that the cucumber had very little effect?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like the idea the kitchen is the highest scoring zone, but it's also the most dangerous to the cat and the cucumber.
The cat and the cucumber struggle in the kitchen because everything can kill you.
Yeah.
But that's where all the catnip is.
Oh no, the cucumber fell in the waste disposal.
If you would like to contribute to the next board game design segment on the podcast, you can do by going to our Patreon page at patreon.com/everybodydice and becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month.
The garden, you could have like a water butt.
A pond.
A pond, and you can get fish out the pond.
Danger area.
The shed.
Oh, you could put like something
The
that's
owner
really
could lock
valuable
you
out
in the
there.
neighbour's shed or something.
That maybe the dead bird is the highest value item in the game, but you have to go in the garden to get
like
it. Kind of
a
thing.
lawnmower.
There's a
that
dog
moves.
in the garden.
Oh wow!
Dog
yes.
using the lawnmower.
Good day.
Please, someone draw this and send it to us. Please send it to us at mailbag@everybodydice.com. Your illustrations of cats versus cucumbers.
Unnecessary.
Yes. Right. I think we have an audience question.
Do
Do we?
Shall we go to it?
Sure.
Okay. So, this one comes from Paul Kelly,
Hi Paul, you look cute today.
and he asks us,
Nice. Fan service.
or says to us, should I say, I've been a board gamer for a few years, but have steered clear of both miniatures gaming and collectible card games. As someone who is ready to take the plunge, which games in both genres would you recommend?
How much money do you have?
Well, I imagine if you're looking at just putting a toe in the water kind of thing, you don't want something expensive.
I sound like a broken record whenever anyone asks this because I always just say Kill Team.
Do you? What about tanks though?
Tanks is really good, but for the miniatures you actually get, like the game has a low cost value to get into, but you don't get that much in the way of miniatures for your money.
Okay.
I don't know.
No. I think the amount you spend getting
tanks.
To get your miniatures, it's a small amount to start playing the game, but you don't get much in the way of miniatures. So you can play the game for cheap, but if you want like to display your army or your models, you don't get as much.
But I think the idea of that is tanks is the lower end of it, isn't it? Whereas Team Yankee and Flames of War are the one where you would have more armies.
Yeah.
So it's again, I guess it's like the kill team of.
Yeah, I would
Tanks
start
work.
with skirmish games if you're looking into miniature gaming because they're cheaper to get into, and you don't want to pay for 2,000 points of Tau and then find out you hate using gun lines.
What about things like Warcry?
I wonder who that's here.
That wasn't a dig at anyone in particular, although it functions as that.
How would you compare Warcry to Kill Team?
I've not played Warcry, so I don't know, but the models are beautiful.
I prefer it, but
It's
okay.
the game seemed very short, and whether you're getting a full miniatures game experience out of that, I'm not
You're
100%
getting-
certain. I've seen it being played. I haven't played it myself.
No.
Bear in mind.
Okay, so all of the games, about 6 games we've played, there's been issues because where it's randomly drawn with cards, there are issues depicting the turn amount.
Okay.
So it seems like the sweet spot is not 3, which is the majority of your cards. So
Right.
the majority of your cards are in the 3rd round, the person with such and such, or the person that controls this, or whoever is left standing wins. But the way they structure the reinforcement phase is you get 3 or 4 people at the start, 2nd round maybe one other set will come in, or 3rd round or some set will come in. So this is where it can be issues. So we played one a little while back, last week, and because in the 3rd round the majority of the units were so far out from trying to get in, there was no chance. So that whoever had that token wins. They might improve that, so there are things that aren't great about it, but because it's so quick, you just play as many games as possible. Kill Team's slightly longer, I would
Yeah,
say.
Kill Team is longer. I was thinking of, what's the card game, the Warhammer one?
Oh, Conquest.
Conquest.
Is it Conquest? Champions.
Champion. No,
yeah.
the one with the models.
Oh,
Shadespire.
Yeah.
It's just called Warhammer Underworlds, but then there's a new one. Was it
Beastgrave?
Yeah, I think
Looks nice.
That's a
most recent
good
one.
best of both worlds style. You got a bit of a card game. You got a bit of a
collectible as well, isn't
collectible
it?
model game. Yeah.
I think as well with card games, just to err a bit on that side as well. I think you can't go wrong with Keyforge as a beginner game. I know
I have reservations about Keyforge, but do not let my inability to enjoy myself get in your way.
I
The
kind
only
of
thing
feel
is
as
it
if
is a very low cost game.
Yeah.
and
Super
it's
low cost game.
and
It's a great entry level.
yeah, and that's what I think they're asking for is what's a good entry level, and I think
fact,
Keyforge is a good
The
entry level
problem
game.
for me is that I'm so into TCGs and stuff that I find Keyforge a bit. I don't feel like I have enough control over Keyforge. So I wouldn't put my not wanting to play Keyforge down to a fault on Keyforge's behalf.
It's just the game.
You're kind of
concept you're not
thinking
keen
along the lines of the collectible side of it.
Yeah, I would
and
rather
the
spend
deck
£100
building part.
building a deck from scratch out of cards I buy from eBay because I'm that level of nutter.
Yeah, can I just say as well? I think living card games are a good way into it as well, because living card games are less about random chance of opening packs and
more
things like
evening the field in a way.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of living card games out there now, the best of which is not around anymore, which was Netrunner. But I also feel as if Netrunner's level of entry was a bit too steep.
That's the only thing. The living card games have quite a high price because you're always getting them. I find compared to sort of.
I don't think they do have such a high price point.
I don't know.
I
30
think the
quid
thing
for like
is if you're playing Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or something like that, you can
Yeah.
end up spending hundreds and hundreds
True.
of pounds, whereas with a living card game,
Hey.
you can just buy one £30 set and then you've got cards to be able to play around with and make competitive decks.
What was
and
the
stuff,
card
so.
game we bought at UK Games Expo?
Light Stalkers.
Light Seekers.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We've
Light
not played
Seekers.
it since, but
Again,
I really,
that's
really like it.
Very similar
is,
to the
yeah.
Warhammer Champions game.
It feels like Warhammer Champions, or like similar to Warhammer Champions, but designed for that game and not shoehorned into the Warhammer world.
Yeah,
I think-
'cause it's based on the same system.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one to get into if you're also trying to explore the concept of deck building. Like I said, there's no deck building in Keyforge, but in a way that could be a good entry level into it. However, if you want to get into stuff like that, Light Seekers is probably a very good entry point.
The only other thing I would say to take into account for not so much the miniatures, because miniatures seem to have quite a big following, is for card games. You definitely want to check where your local area is playing. There's no.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
worth-
seen anyone play Light Seekers.
Yeah, that is also a big thing. If your local game group are all playing a certain game, even if it is a slightly higher entry level, they're probably going to help you ease into it.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
I know personally, one of our friends started playing Pokemon again, and I was like, cool, do you need any of these cards? Because I've got loads.
Yeah.
And I helped him build his deck. So it's... Most people want other people to play the game they're playing because they want someone to play against.
I would say one we all really enjoyed but dropped off a little bit was Star Wars Destiny, but that was
Yeah.
a bit more of a higher
I
price.
still enjoy Destiny. My issue with Destiny is the price point's so high.
Yeah.
You've got to be willing to invest to get into it properly, which is a shame.
If you just buy starter decks of everything and just are willing to play with friends with starter decks, there's not really all the card games out there are going to have a nice level of kind of price. They're going to have quite a nice, interesting sort of deck. They're not going to be great. They're not going to be like fantastic. They won't win tournaments, but you'll get a decent entry into them. Especially the ones where you get like what do they call them? The Pokemon ones where you get the two little mini sets.
Oh, what the learn to play?
Dual
Yeah,
decks.
you get like learn to play
Yeah.
decks with a lot of games at the moment, where you can just get like sort of half decks that just teach you the basics. So it's quite a nice entry point with that, I think.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues with any collectible card game is the amount of terms that are printed on cards that you have to look up online to see what they do and things like that. It happens. It's quite a common thing in collectible card games. So cards sometimes carry special abilities. Sometimes they quite handily print what the ability does actually on the card, but sometimes you don't, and all of a sudden you're going to having to look up what each ability means, what each tag word basically means.
Another thing probably look out for is if they have an online game component. Like I know Lightseekers,
They allow you
Conquest
to-
Champions, Pokemon all have their own like online game which you can play.
It means even if you
fake
don't have
version.
a community near you, you can play the game. But
Yeah, which is a nice way to kind of
it's a good plan B.
yeah,
And
it'll
you can
teach
mess
you the
around
game
with
as
it.
well.
You can mess around with it, and it will correct any mistakes you're making.
Yeah,
So in other words,
it's a
if
great
you try-
way to learn the rules.
if you're playing on a table with a friend, you can do stuff which you're not meant to do, and there's nothing to tell you, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Whereas when
Yeah.
you're playing on a computer, it will.
It's how I
Pull you
learned
back.
Warhammer Champions. Was
Yeah.
on the phone app.
Because it's actually easier than having someone teach you in
Yeah.
a way, because it shows you what you can
Because
do.
it
what you can't.
literally won't let you do something that's against the rules. It just stops you.
One of the other games we're kind of gonna get into potentially is the Gaslands Refueled.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know.
Miniatures wise,
At the moment, we don't know much.
I wouldn't
about
want to
that.
recommend that because I've never
No.
played it.
Yes,
but in terms of cost, it is just a Hot Wheels car,
Yeah.
yeah.
which
But we don't know how complex
No.
it is to
Yeah.
play or anything like that at the moment.
gonna have a
We'll
go.
get back to you on that one. 'Cause
Yeah,
we're
we
all
will.
excited for it. I'm
I
going to
think-
buy a steam roller style thing.
Did you not get it the other day in the end?
No, I got upset after looking at it for a while because I thought the scale was a bit wrong.
Okay.
I want a slightly larger steamroller. I heard you bought a pack of like 5 construction.
Yeah, so I think the idea is
vehicles.
I'm going to pull certain bits off the other construction vehicles
build
and put
this
it onto
huge
one.
horrific
Amazing.
Yeah, if it's anything like my Megacity Oceania buildings, it's going to be just horrible to look at.
Did you ever used to have those toy cars where you used to be able to take them apart and connect them to each other, and you could
Yes.
make like
No,
limos?
I never
what
had
you mean,
them.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm like?
Yeah.
It was basically like a limo system, and you kept putting like bits and bits.
Yeah,
and
I
they had their
remember
little
them.
connectors.
Yeah,
I like the idea of that. I
would
might
be
try and
fun.
dig them out actually, because I think they're probably about the same scale.
Okay. So yeah, if you have a question that you'd like to send us, thank you very much, Paul Kelly. We really appreciate your
That's a
question.
good question.
Yes.
And you look great.
You do.
God, the compliments just keep flowing.
If you would like to send us a question of your own, you can do at mailbag@everybodydice.com. Okay, we've got a big topical question to cover, so let's do that. And that is this week. What games would we recommend playing for Halloween?
Mansions of Madness.
Yes, which we've already
Oh.
discussed earlier in this.
Betrayal at the house.
On the
Okay,
hill.
On the
let's
hill.
slow it down.
Oh,
Let's talk about
werewolf.
this.
Just Friday night.
Let's talk about these.
Last
Let's go-
Friday.
So we've already talked quite a lot about Mansions of Madness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities between that and Betrayal. Probably, unless you've got a whole day and want to just play one game over and over, probably better to play Betrayal at House on the Hill than playing Betrayal Legacy. Legacy is a commitment.
Yeah.
So in both games, you are building up a house over the course of the game. In Betrayal, it's all very manual, whereas in Mansions of Madness, as we explained before, it's very much generated by an app. The app is, again, just
Dead Man's
simplifies
Cabal.
everything.
Sorry.
Possession, a demonic card game.
We've not even played that.
Doesn't matter. It looks evil. Oh, what's the miniatures one you've not yet played over?
The others!
The others. Wingspan.
That is nightmarish in its own way.
It is.
Oh, they should do a Wingspan Bat edition.
Oh, they should. Why
Wait a
not?
minute.
Just
Hold on.
loads of different bats.
Hold on.
That's our next.
That's
board
our next
game.
board game.
Please don't. Please don't.
Wingspan Bat edition. Look at my bat. It's a fruit bat.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's reel this back in,
Sorry.
and we'll talk a bit about Betrayal at House on the Hill because we've talked enough about Mansions of Madness today. Betrayal at House on the Hill is kind of like you've almost got a.
My bottle. Sorry. My foot's on it.
Okay, you've almost got a book which has B-movie horror scenarios.
Oh, they're
listed
really,
in
yeah,
it.
they are really ropey sometimes. I love
And
it.
a lot of the time, you don't get to pick which one of these you actually play through. You're building up a mansion at the beginning, and you're making haunt rolls every single time you find omens. And once you fail a haunt roll, the haunt actually starts. When the haunt starts, you're going through these books. You're finding out secret objectives that each side has. So you're going to have one betrayer, and you're going to have then the team that are playing against them in most
I
cases.
think we've all been the betrayer at some point, haven't we?
We have in our legacy
Yeah.
game
And
that
in the
we're playing.
normal game, were you not? Yeah, you were one of the original ones.
Yeah, I killed your other
You
half. I killed
threw us
Ellen.
through hoops.
Oh god,
And,
yeah.
I tricked Helen and then beat her to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knew that was going to happen. So I had a premonition.
Oh my god, that's,
Yeah, I imagine one day Ian's going to have like a
that's horrific.
lover's rage or something
So you think I'm going to kill your girlfriend?
to be with me.
I thought we were brothers.
Not anymore.
We're
Well,
still brothers.
two brothers.
So we need to stop talking about incest porn so Steve can finish his point.
Girl, man.
Oh yeah, there's.
That should be the slogan.
I mean, as well as Manchester Madness, you've got countless of other Arkham Files games. So you've got Arkham Horror. The Living Card game is particularly good.
There's a
I do
pandemic
solo that
Cthulhu,
every
isn't
now
there?
and again. There is a Cthulhu Pandemic, or
Mm.
it would now be whatever it was called.
A pandemic system.
It would now be part of the Pandemic system. I imagine the later copies are going to be. Elder Sign is really, really good, really, really fun. It's Arkham, the old Arkham Horror board game, but in almost like a dice combat-y kind of thing. So in other words, you're drawing adventure cards and you're solving them through rolling dice in a particular order. It's quite similar to Age of War in terms of its system of rolling dice. That's really cool. It's a cooperative thing, so you're all playing together. In fact, a lot of horror games tend to be
Keep
cooperative.
moving the table.
Oh, sorry.
Last Friday, I would probably say it's not the best game, but it's a good one for
play that.
Halloween night. So one person plays a killer in very much the vein of Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, and you're hunting down kids, I
You
suppose,
mentioned Dead of
teenagers. Dead of Winter is what I was getting to.
Sorry.
Dead of Winter is probably the number one game, I would say, for Halloween. It's a cooperative game where you've got a central colony and you're under attack by zombies. There is the possibility of there being a betrayer, and it really sows seeds of paranoia between the players,
Yeah.
which is amazing. It's one of the most emotionally draining games I think I've ever played, because even without a betrayer in it, it's difficult to be able to survive, because it is a survival game as well. If morale drops to a certain level, you lose. If you don't do everything in time, you lose. There's the constant threat of zombies. There's the constant threat of running out of food and the colony failing due to starvation. There's so many things working against you, and when you throw a betrayer in there as well, someone who's going to win the game by throwing you all under the bus, it's horrible. It's horrible in the best possible way, I would say. Werewolf, One Night Werewolf, I would probably say is probably better, because you don't want to have to find 30 people to play with.
Yeah.
It's a nice scaled down version of it where, again, it can be run through an app. You don't need the app in order to play it, but it makes it so much more fun when the narrator is telling you to put your thumbs away and so forth. Essentially, you're playing within a little village, and you're either a villager or a werewolf. Although the villagers all have special abilities, there are also some werewolves with special abilities. The werewolves want to try and stay alive over the course of one night, whereas the villagers are trying to kill off one werewolf.
That goddamn dream wolf will haunt me. I had it like 3 times in a row and just...
It's one of these games where it preys on the kind of like lynch mob mentality of once someone once someone identifies that someone said something that's a little bit dodgy, they will just relentlessly pursue them on that. So in other words, if someone said, I'm the troublemaker and I swapped those two round, all of a sudden, no, I was the troublemaker, you're lying, you're the werewolf. And then everyone jumps on that one person, and it does have very much a lynch mob mentality to it. But the fact that it's played over a short amount of time compared to Werewolf, which generally is longer and deals with player elimination and stuff like that, it makes it so much better. It really does. Anything else we can think of that we would like to recommend?
I mean, they're the ones that stand out.
I think, the other one I'd quite like to pick out is Gloom.
Oh,
Just as a story-driven thing where...
It's quite a fun little one.
Yeah, it's more morbid than a horror thing, but it still fits the whole theme of Halloween quite nicely.
Yeah, it's very like Addams Family almost.
It is Addams Family. So the idea in Gloom is you are all playing deeply unhappy people that want to die.
It's really good.
And you want to kill off your 4 family members before anyone else does. Other people will be playing cards which make their life seem not so bad. It's neat because you're not allowed to kill your family off just outright. You have to do certain things first. You've
always got to make them have the most miserable life possible.
Yeah, but at the same time, people are going to be trying to play cards on them. They've got these really nice kind of see-through.
It's like
cards.
plastic, isn't it? It's really, and they
Yeah,
build on top of
overlaid
each other. It's really cool.
On top of one another. It's definitely more of a narrative-driven game. It's not a super competitive game.
No,
it's just
fun and
just
simple.
a bit of fun.
Can't you think of anything else?
I think we might have come to the end of our games that we really recommend.
There's probably a few that would tiptoe in.
Yeah, like Cthulhu stuff.
Mysterium. It is my
Yeah.
favourite game of all time. I mean, what would be better than getting to Halloween night, setting up a little room only lit by candles, and making it seem like a seance where a ghost is talking to everyone, which is essentially what Mysterium is. One player takes the role of a ghost, and they're trying to communicate how exactly they died to the other players who are playing as psychics, who are trying to determine who killed them, in what room, with what item, just like in Cluedo. But they figure this out by being given abstract pieces of artwork that honestly are not easy to decipher at all. We're playing this Halloween. I love that game.
It's a Thursday.
Is it a Thursday?
Yes.
Ooh. Well, we won't be podcasting. It'll be next Thursday, won't it?
No,
believe
we will be
before.
podcasting on that Thursday.
Ooh.
Because it'll be 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
That's not the store's open day for my job.
However,
so I should be free.
However, the podcast goes out, believe it or not,
The Friday.
right now it's not Thursday, unless you are listening to it on a Thursday. This will not be released on a Thursday. It gets released the day after on a Friday.
And then the video on
But we
Saturday.
will be recording on Thursday. I think this is why we're doing the Halloween stuff here. This is all getting
Well,
way off
technically,
topic.
we
and
will be
we're
doing it on Halloween for us, but for you guys, it'll be the day
It
after
will
Halloween.
do.
So yeah.
So we figured we'd rather recommend you some games to play on Halloween now rather than.
Can we do
the day
costumes for our one next 2 weeks?
What next podcast?
Yeah, because it's Halloween. We
could.
have to do Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could get the Patreons to decide
Oh
what
God,
we're going to dress as.
no! I already know what mine's gonna have to be.
Oh no. Yours is going to be a bigot.
Yeah, probably.
Or-
How do you even do that?
Go as yourself.
Just go
Yeah.
with a sign.
Okay, so with that, if you would like to contribute to that, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com/everybodydice. You can donate as little as $1 a month. If you'd like to contact us on social medias, then you can do at Everybody Dice for Twitter and at Everybody Dice Show for Instagram. Our website, you can find everything in one place at everybodydice.com. And if you have any questions you would like to send us, or artwork, or whatever the hell you want, if you want to create things for us that we will quite happily display on show,
A macaroni picture
If
of
you-
Ian.
a macaroni picture,
If you want to make
of
stuff
Ian.
that normally a parent would hang on the fridge,
we will be happy to be your fridge.
we'll,
Wow.
hang it,
Okay.
we'll hang it on the mini fridge.
We'll hang it on the mini
Yeah.
fridge, and you can send those things to mailbag@everybodydice.com.
I really like someone's going to make a macaroni picture of you now. like
You
in
got-
your image.
It's a lot of macaroni.
Thank you
It's
very
to
much for
scale.
joining us. We will see you next time, or hear from you next time.
Au revoir.
Whatever.
Toodle
Bye.
do.
Bye.